Algebra OST Spring 2023 released state test items number 14. It says 2 friends record the number of minutes they spend on their cell phones each day for 1 month. They display their results in the box plots shown below. Complete the statements to make conclusions about the data sets represented by the box plots. So the friend that most likely has an outlier is blank. So let's talk about some things, right? So this is a box plot, right? So a box plot represents your data. There are 5 import numbers. There's a minimum value, there's a first quartile, there's a median, there's a third quartile, and there's a maximum. Okay, the box represents the middle 50% of the data. So again, it just sort of tells you like where most of the data is in that box, right? Now, when we talk about outliers, outliers create these big long whiskers, right? Sometimes they're called whisker plots, Boston whisker plots. So I can see that friend 1, their maximum is way far away from the box. So I'm thinking that friend 1 most likely has an outlier. And it says the outlier is most likely, and again, it's probably the highest value, which is the maximum. Okay, cool. So that was okay. So then it says, and let me scoot this up so we can just look at the question. So then it says, therefore, for this friend's data set, so for friend 1, the mean is most likely. So there's this idea of resistance, right? Resistance. So because there is a outlier way down here, what this means is that your mean, your average, is naturally brought that way towards that maximum value. If you think about a person that scores really high on a test compared to the rest of their friends, that person that scores high, they kind of raise the average. It's kind of misleading because if most of your friends do poorly on a test, but one person does really well, that average should not be drawn to that higher value, right? Because most kids did poorly. So the idea is that the mean would be dragged towards this outlier, but the median would stay put near the middle 50% where most of the data is. So in this case, because friend 1 has that high outlier, the mean is actually probably going to be greater than the median. That's kind of a little higher level thing to think about, but just think about how outliers drag the mean towards them. That's the idea of the mean is not resistant to outliers.